Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The sound of her perfume hit me before the door even opened. Sweet, expensive, deliberate. When Lisa stepped into the hallway, she looked cinematic. Black dress, loose curls, a smile that tried too hard to seem effortless. The kind of smile you wear when you've already decided something you can't take back. "I'll be out late tonight," she said, adjusting her earrings. "It's just dinner with the girls. Don't wait up." Something in me clenched. It wasn't her words, but how they slid out too smoothly, like a line rehearsed in front of a mirror. For a moment I couldn't speak. I just watched her reach for her clutch, her eyes avoiding mine. That silence, heavy and humming, felt like standing in the middle of a thunderstorm before the first strike. Then I said it. The words that changed everything. "Okay, but let me drive you." Her hand froze on the doorknob. Her head turned slowly, her face shifting like glass catching light. "That's sweet, babe, but you don't have to. I'll grab a cab." I smiled faintly. "It's late. I'd feel better if I did." There was a flicker, a momentary glitch in her calm expression. She laughed softly, forced. "You're being paranoid again." Again. That word. It landed like a slap. Lisa and I had been married 6 years. We'd weathered real storms. Job losses, miscarriages, bills stacked higher than pride. But lately something had shifted. The small, invisible things. Her phone always face down. The late-night messages. The perfume I hadn't smelled in years. She said I was imagining things, that my insecurities were turning me into someone unrecognizable. Maybe she was right. But tonight the air felt poisoned with lies. "Then at least walk me to the car," she said, forcing a light tone. We stepped into the cool night. The moonlight skimmed her bare shoulders, and for a second I remembered the woman I fell in love with. The girl who used to fall asleep on my chest after long drives. The one who cried when we couldn't afford a honeymoon because she wanted memories, not things. At the curb her phone buzzed. She looked at it quickly and turned the screen away from me. "Who's that?" I asked. She smiled too fast. "Jenna. Asking if I'm on my way." I reached out gently, touching her arm. "Let me see." Her expression hardened, but only for a second. "You don't trust me anymore, do you?" The truth hung between us. Heavy. Suffocating. "I don't know," I whispered. She exhaled, shaking her head. "You've changed, Ethan. You've become someone who looks for ghosts where there aren't any." And maybe she was right. Maybe I was just a paranoid husband clinging to what was already gone. But when I leaned closer to hug her, a faint trace of cologne, not mine, drifted from her neck. That scent told me everything words never would. "Have a good night," I said, stepping back. My voice was calm, too calm. She smiled softly, kissed my cheek, and slid into the back seat of the waiting car. As it drove off, I saw the reflection of her face in the window. She wasn't texting. She was deleting something. Inside, the house felt too quiet. The clock ticked like footsteps. I sat on the couch, staring at the phone in my hand, fighting the storm building in my chest. I wanted to call her, to demand the truth. But what if I was wrong? What if she really was just out with friends and I was the villain in my own paranoia? Minutes crawled into hours. At 11:42 p.m. I finally broke. I opened my phone and tracked the location of hers, something I'd never done before. The dot blinked. Not downtown. Not anywhere near the restaurant she mentioned. It was across the city, in a quiet neighborhood I didn't recognize. My throat tightened. I grabbed my keys. The drive felt like a dream and a nightmare fused together. Every streetlight flashed against the windshield like a heartbeat. Every shadow on the road whispered doubts I didn't want to hear. When I pulled up, I killed the engine and sat in silence. The house was small, cozy, lights dimmed. A red car sat in the driveway, a car I'd seen once before. Mark's. Mark was her coworker. Married. Charming. Too charming. I remembered how she once said, "He's harmless. Don't be jealous." But jealousy wasn't what I felt now. It was clarity. Sharp, merciless clarity. I watched her through the window. She laughed as she stepped inside, barefoot, holding a bottle of wine. He was already waiting for her, his hand on her waist before the door even closed. My chest burned. My palms trembled against the steering wheel. Part of me wanted to storm in, to scream, to shatter everything. But another part, quieter, colder, just sat there and watched the truth unfold. When she leaned in and kissed him, something inside me died. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like the slow fading of a song I once loved. I drove home without headlights. The night swallowed the car whole. By the time I got back, it was past 1 in the morning. I sat at the dining table, the house still and empty, the perfume still lingering in the air. Her laughter echoed in my head like a ghost. I poured a glass of whiskey and stared at the front door until it opened. She stepped in barefoot again, pretending nothing was wrong. "You're still up?" she asked, voice soft, sweet, a liar's lullaby. I didn't answer. I just looked at her, really looked. The smudged lipstick, the undone hair, the faint shadow of guilt that flickered and died behind her eyes. "Was it fun?" I asked quietly. Her breath hitched. "What?" "Dinner. With the girls." She hesitated. "Yeah. It was nice." I nodded slowly, taking a sip of whiskey. "That's good." The silence stretched, long and unbearable. Then she reached for her purse. I saw her phone flash with a notification. "Mark, I already miss you." Her face drained of color. She froze, realizing I'd seen it. "Ethan," she began. I stood, placing the glass down carefully. "Don't lie." "Not anymore." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear I just fell out of love?" I asked, my voice trembling but steady. She shook her head. "No. I was lonely. You've been distant, so I laughed softly, a hollow sound. "So you found someone who noticed." Her tears spilled. "I still love you." "No," I said, shaking my head. "You love the idea of me. The man who would have forgiven you before he saw what you really were." She sobbed, falling to her knees, reaching for my hand. But I stepped back. That was the moment it ended. Not with anger or violence. Just truth. Cold and irreversible. I walked to the door, opened it, and looked back at her one last time. "I told you I'd drive you," I said quietly. "Maybe then you wouldn't have had to lie." Then I left her there, broken in the doorway, while the night swallowed her perfume and our years together like they never existed.